The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and guests unveil astrology's ancient archetypes that continually build the collective experiences in our unconsciousness. Get ready to find your free will from your roots in the stars.
Rose Minahan. This is Talk Cosmos, and tonight is November 17th, 2018. And we are continuing with Scorpio. It's our last talk, 4 of 4. And the title for tonight focuses on Pluto, evolving Pluto's soul growth with the Cancer Capricorn nodes. It's very important that Capricorn, that's the south node, and the north node of Cancer have just entered these signs, and I'll describe what those are briefly before we begin our talk. And they'll be in those signs for 18 months. November 6th, they entered, leaving Leo and Aquarius. This is a global energy that we all experience, and that's where these are points in the sky where the moon's orbit intersects with the sun's around, the apparent cycle of the sun around the earth, on the earth. And the south is essentially where we're coming from, and the north is where our destiny is leading to. And interestingly, because the south node is in Capricorn, which also regulates, I don't know about the word regulates, but it also signifies karma. It's a potent remedy. It's a potent formula, you might say, or a recipe. A recipe might be a great word because Cancer is involving food and nurturing and safety and home, our family, our roots, our foundations. And that's where we're headed to, outside of the Capricornian sense of goals and aspirations and achievements and mastery and all these wonderful aspects where we bring out the external efforts that we have as individuals, but yet we can push aside those emotional assets. Indeed they are. So that's generally some of the energy that we'll be talking about, because Pluto is our method of transformation. One point before I introduce a marvelous guest that I'm delighted to share tonight's talk with, are just reminding of times in history that we also had this 18-month cycle of south node in Capricorn and north node in Cancer. Now, with this, of course, Pluto wasn't in Capricorn at these times, which Pluto is. So there's a little extra potency, we might say. But those times were back in 1981 to 84, and also 1962 to 64. Now, not the entire years, but during those time zones. So you might reflect and think, what was I maybe experiencing, or the world that maybe we're redeveloping on another theme, on another cycle as we progress. And just quickly going back into some history that I was able to dig up, there were quite a few inventions in 1981 to 83 that relate strongly to now. MS-DOS was invented, and human growth hormones were genetically put together. That's, with stem cells and all this. I'm not the scientist, but you certainly would think that that's a follow-through. And when it comes to 61, Martin Luther King received the Nobel Peace Prize, a wonderful energy for all of us. However, it is continuing with this, and the important, he established, his wonderful legacy, is because of the nonviolence resistance to racial prejudice that still we're combating or trying to resolve. And energies hopefully will resound as maybe we return to more of our heartfelt energies. Tonight, Suzy Holbrook, an MD, an evolutionary astrologer who serves as a bridge between pediatric medicine and astrology. She incorporates ancient wisdom and modern science to help patients explore effective options in holistic, client-centered manners. Suzy has completed both Jeffrey Wolf Green's Pluto School and Maurice Fernandez's The Complete Course. Suzy's an astrology consultant, has a YouTube astrology video channel, and in 2019 will be a lecturer at the Northwest Astrology Conference, better known as NORWAC, here in the Northwest in Seattle, as a matter of fact, right where we are. It's on Memorial Day weekend, so get prepared, get your tickets. It's a great event, and she has a wonderful talk in line for us. And Suzy will also be talking at the National Council for Geocosmic Research, known as NCGR. They have chapters all over the nation. Hi, Suzy. It's great to have you tonight.
Hey, Sue. Thanks for having me. This is great. You're amazing. I love listening to your introduction.
Oh, good. Well, it did recap a little bit because although we really work on the intentional, I realize that our audience, they span the distance between the knowledgeable and the eager learning. So, yes, it is. You know, what's interesting is that Pluto, as always, is hungry, we might say, for soul growth, of getting rid of the limitations. But the fact that we're dealing with these energies now, one, the Capricorn, which is like with Pluto, and then the opposite of it, the Cancer, does shift its focus.
Sure, quite a bit. I mean, Pluto, I love talking about Pluto. And I myself am a Scorpio with several personal planets in Scorpio. And so I am living this energy all the time. And so, not that I always necessarily understand it, but, Jeffrey Wolf Green and Maurice Fernandez are just amazing evolutionary astrologers. And when I came into this science, really, of astrology and heard about Pluto as being symbolic for the soul and our soul's journey, and the use of the astrology, natal chart, and transits to look more closely at all of our evolutionary process over lifetimes, it just is such an amount of rich information. And, what a shortcut to be able to use this for all of our process in this lifetime. It's just fascinating. So I love talking about Pluto. Thinking about Jeffrey Wolf Green's information and how he looked at the natal chart and Pluto's position by house and sign as an indication from past lifetimes, a previous emotional process, and that it's ongoing, that we bring that energy in with us. And the way that Pluto shows in this lifetime, this really deep kind of split, and I'm working with this process right now in this deep split energy in looking at the charts of kids with autism. So I'm very invested in working through this. Not that I, have all the information, but I think it's such a fruitful energy because we all have this Pluto in our chart, and we all have this, it's this split between this security need. Pluto shows where we bring in this deep emotional security that we are very, very invested in preserving this form of this Pluto that we bring in, but also at the same time and to equal degree, we need to evolve it. We need to kind of break it open because it's reached a saturation point from previous lifetimes. And so there's a lot of deep energy, a deep kind of split that we have to work with. It's, it's very, very, a lot of energy, a lot of kind of ambivalence, I think, that we all have in regards to this Pluto energy. And I think that's why Pluto gets a bad rap, you know? Don't you think? I mean, I think
Well, I
people.
think, yes, in many ways. Emotions are tricky. They're just
Mhm.
not linear. It's not like the mental that goes, okay, let's navigate between this point and that point. Instead, it gets the past and the present and the future and our wannas and our maybes and things that we misinterpret too. I mean, it's hard to take that sometimes, but it helps with our whole process to realize that maybe we didn't totally get it, or else maybe it's a hot spot. In other words, emotions, which, and they get with Scorpio, it's not just emotions, which is more Cancerian. It is with figuring out our values of really what the truth is on ourself and our entire being, because we can shed that. I mean, if we're being limited and it's not functioning, if it's not working, it takes a lot to uncover and to redo. So it's a lot of work, you know.
Yeah, I love that you bring in values. It gets to the opposition, right? It gets to the axis, the Taurus Scorpio axis, because the Taurus end of it is about what do we value. And it also gets to, when we talk about the Pluto's bottom line of power versus powerlessness. I
Yes.
mean, our position of Pluto in our chart shows where we feel deeply powerless. And if you have a lot of Scorpio, then there is bringing in that need to become more powerful. And so for all of us, the bottom line question is, what do we value? What is power for each of us? And that is exactly that issue of that axis of Taurus and Scorpio. And so that's exactly right. You really do need to uncover that Taurus in the chart as well, get to somebody's value system in order to help them uncover what is their power, what are they working toward, what do they need to grow and kind of rediscover, break through with that Pluto position. So you're exactly right. That
Yeah.
value system is huge.
In an earlier little chat that we had, you brought up the fact that I also really thought a lot about, and that is that Cancer, the moon, is an easier vehicle for us to work with than Pluto. And, the North Node is in Cancer, which ruled by the moon right now, because the vulnerability and that emotional pain, there's so much in looking at our values that involves really getting to the internal is my point. And the moon right now, it really, I liked how you were mentioning that even without the North Node in Cancer, the moon is such an importance.
Yeah, uncovering with these kids with autism, I'm spending a lot of my energy trying to uncover, all these. I have probably 50 or so charts, and that is one thing that's been quite fruitful in trying to uncover bottom line issues with these kids, is that, these children, how do you help them break through this emotional body? I mean, the emotional body, as for Maurice Fernandez, is, you can see in the chart, that's through Pluto, and it's through the moon, and it's actually through the sun as well. And so it's kind of the pressure cooker of, you put the Pluto in there, that's that deep need for growth, that deep sense of frustration and helplessness that is in every cell of our body. We might not feel it or understand it at a conscious mental level, but we certainly feel it, and it is there 24/7 for all of us. And then, but how do you access, how do you heal helplessness. Well, you need to bring in new elements. You need to bring in new ways to open up. And I think that is through the moon. It's like this big old mouth that is being fed. It's what do you bring in and what do you need to eat in order to bring in new energy, in order to provide fodder and nurture this big change, because otherwise we won't open, we won't grow, because it's just too painful. You need to be kind of led, and the moon is a nice, comforting, nurturing, opening energy. And this is, I think, so important when we're talking about Pluto, because we need something good. We need some reason to open up to this deep change that we all need to go through. So,
well, that's a good point, because crisis is a big word with Pluto, because if we
Yes.
don't recognize, I mean, we are human, and we're incarnated spirits on this human form, and we have our, well, as again, the axis, the opposite, which is Taurus, the second sign, which is of life. I mean, not of life, but of the survival of the being, is somewhat. Let's see. I'm pulling in a lot of threads here, because I was thinking of the fact that it's set in certain ways, but this point of integrating these emotional and elements, like you were saying, through the mouth, which is very aptly put. For. And also, Pluto is not just digestion. Digestion may be Cancer, but it's elimination. It purges, it eliminates. It's the intestinal. It's I think the large intestine. And so, we extract what we want or need, and we throw out waste. It's like what isn't really being needed. So bringing in that idea of the moon, of nurturing and feeding ourselves, so that we can then feed others in that scorpionic exchange of power, that feeds our power, feeds our life force, because essentially Pluto loves life. It doesn't love death. It wants to get rid of death.
It is about evolution for sure, bringing in the new. It's getting to a better place, more grounded, and I mean, there's the power. The power it gives you choice. That's, I think, what Scorpio is really after. It's after broader choices, and I do think that that is a large issue.
That's a good, choice. That's always, we have fate. I mean, we have divine power. We have, I'm not thinking of the right word. We have our ultimate, what is it? Free choice in this world. So this is great. I was looking at on the news, there's so many issues that really are, our housing situation. The fact of the market since it crashed, and the fact of homelessness. I mean, I'm hoping that possibly with these nodes, with North Node in Cancer, possibly, well, it may get worse, of course, but it could maybe we'll get a better handle on some of these ideas that are affected. I know I'm jumping suddenly from the personal more to the collective, but it does. There's ways that it manifests. It's when one is without home and without that sense of security, it's very.
There's a lot of work to be done with these nodes, certainly with Pluto and Capricorn. The Capricornian energy of structures, of the ways in which perhaps we all are kind of crystallized, structure on so many levels.
Yes.
There's the structure of our consciousness, that perhaps we need to evolve to like a little softer way of even thinking about our whole life. There's also structures in work, our the best possible future, putting one foot in front of the other to climb the hill to our, whether it's our career or just the best possible future for us. We're all accountable. That's a good Capricornian word.
It surely is.
Those kind of issues are certainly going to be brought to the fore. Not only that, but the negative side of it. It's who is in authority. It's there's a lot of kind of vested interests and a lot of turmoil right now across the world in governments and those that are in power. And I really feel like this is going to be held up to for all of us to witness this evaluation. We're really it's going to be brought to a head, and I feel like especially with the South Node in Capricorn and Pluto are going to be coming to a conjunction, and not only is Pluto showing about past lifetime and kind of a repetition of this energy of breaking down of established forms, but also the South Node is validating that we've been there, done that before. And so, and Saturn being in Capricorn, it's like this triple signature of, we are held to account that there is a right and a wrong. And so it's going to be interesting. I think for all of us, those that are, doing our fair share, we're doing our part to stay on track and be accountable for our own life. We are going to, reap the benefit of our efforts. But, there are going to be some that it's not going to be such a pleasant time, I think.
Yes, the crisis comes back up. That force that we were mentioning is so true about finding the limitations that just need to be shed or broken, that isn't really a choice. Sometimes it's like that unbelievable crisis that happens. And so, yes, we might. That's so true. And I noticed, too, in the conversation, I'm fascinated with the autistic children. I had sort of jumped over to the collective, but, with and we have a few minutes that we're going to have an announcement, so this isn't really the time to always continue that, but please do, after the break, bring up any more thoughts about the autistic, which I know you will be talking about at NORWAC and perhaps another occasion. But that healing process of integrating, such as, pulling that together that you were mentioning about the autism, the emotional body, and the pressure cooker, which is generally the whole theme of it, but that we're experiencing and that Pluto exhibits, but that there's things to learn, I think, about that for sure.
Yeah, working on it. It's, I certainly would never hope to be able to figure it all out. It's quite intense. There's a lot to it, and I think it may belittle some little soul's process as they're healing their own emotional body, and it's going to take more than just this one lifetime for so many of these little children and growing into adulthood with autism. But anyway, I'm hoping to find some way to get to some sort of a bottom line, or at least maybe there are several bottom lines, because I don't think there's just only one story for these people. But anyway, I'm working on it.
Boy, you have lots of good words here. We will come right back. In the meantime, there is a little break here. And for those people that would like to call in and talk to Suzy Holbrook or myself, call in 425-373-5527. That's 5527. 425-373-5527.
Celebrate your star energy blessings. Schedule a natal astrology chart consultation with Talk Cosmos host Sue Rose Minahan. You'll learn to better understand what personally fuels your soul's seed direction. Sue focuses on your questions to connect you into your unique heart's desire and your true soul path's birth essence. Just $125 for an hour-and-a-half session about your life energies and significant current transits, including a recording and a copy of your chart. Schedule by emailing info@talkcosmos.com. That's info@talkcosmos.com.
While we take a break from this week's edition of Talk Cosmos, let's take a look at this cycle's archetype. We are currently in the yin period of Scorpio, traditionally ruled by Mars, now ruled by Pluto. By departing a cycle based on comparison between extreme energies, finding balance, Scorpio commits a relationship to exchange resources, experiencing power and powerlessness for the purpose of soul growth transformation. As a fixed water sign that is extreme, intense, and secretively deep, Scorpio's passionate nature questions the psychology and mystery concerning life and death.
Hello, this is Catherine Zumstein of EarthSkyAstrology.com, and you're listening to Talk Cosmos on Alternative Talk 1150 AM, where we discuss the meaningfulness of our roots in the stars.
Alternative Talk 1150, online at 1150kknw.com.
Hi again. This is Sue and Suzy Holbrook talking. And Suzy, what you had brought up really is good fodder. And that is that fodder. Boy, that reminds me of more food, right?
It's a good Cancer word. I love it.
Definitely. But story, when you brought up that, and the many, many lifetimes that people have, it is so true. Isn't that truth for all of us? It's really when I think following astrology and seeing the cycles and looking at the charts to try to understand how that moment connects with our energy that we brought into this world and how we use it, well, how it influences us, we might say, is recognizing that it's just one layer after the next. It's not an instant occasion, and that our stories really do make up our thinking or feeling. You know,
it certainly takes a lot of lifetimes to work through this stuff. You know, I mean, I think that's the kind of the good and the bad news is that if we look at our chart and we see maybe a potential future that we're not quite getting, you know, there's always the next time, you know. I think in some ways it's a little bit reassuring.
Yes, that's a very good factor. I like it. Nothing like not do or die. It's just a matter of, and much of it's symbolic, you know.
Yeah.
The whole idea of shedding the skin, like the snake and all of that. It's so true. But revealing how we feel. Reveal, I think, is a really good scorpionic word that and it can be good things, like we were saying, like with family, with this emphasis of getting to our feelings, or the connections, you know, with our nucleus group, our habits, are what made us, who are we, and by reconnecting with and if we don't have a family that works, then we can invent a family. We can, you know, have that community or the special people, but reconnecting.
You know, that North Node in Cancer, I love to think of it in terms of maybe evolving a new self-identity. Mm-hmm. You know, that I myself have this nodal in my natal chart. I have South Node in Capricorn, North Node in Cancer. And to me, the one amazing astrology reading I had actually from Jeffrey Wolf Green is he worded it in that way that, you know, you're evolving a new self-image. And that's another way to look at that Cancer North Node is it's about the moon can be about your self-identity, and that maybe in some way that Capricorn South Node is about maybe being forced to, in some ways, grow up too quickly. It's the classic skip step, really. Cancer being, or Capricorn being about maybe you're forcing yourself into a position that you're not really ready for. You're not really mature to be there, but because of circumstances, perhaps this has been forced upon you.
Yeah,
and so you have to make it up
Respons-
as you go along in some ways. Forced responsibility, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes, and in fact, it's such a perfect, though. I mean, if anything is perfect, but it sustains each other. The fact of that, how we are in the exterior world, by reworking our interior world, we can reform and improve our exterior.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. Because if you've skipped steps emotionally, meaning that in some way maybe you're not walking your talk, I think that's one way to look at it, that you need to back up a second in order to fully integrate your own emotionality and feel what you feel, that you don't have to force yourself to feel any way. And through doing that, you're much more integrated, and then in that way you can function much more effectively in the outer exterior world, and in your profession, in whatever capacity that you appear to other people. You are through and through more authentic, I think.
Absolutely, and connect with those values. By the way, we have a person who has called in, and can you see the data on, or do you have a ways of pulling it up too? I'm going to pull it up.
I don't have a way that I know of.
Okay. Well, maybe I should. Okay, I didn't mention that. Okay. Here, I'll pull it up right now. February 16th, so that'll give you an Aquarian.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what the three predominants are. Do you have a city? Oh. Okay. So sorry about this. And her name is Annie. So,
okay.
Annie, why don't you get online and you can ask your question. And
oh, okay. Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I'm not sure if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes. Oh,
We
hi,
got
Annie. We do. Yes. What was your question tonight? How may we?
Oh, I was just wondering whether or not, with all these changes underway, if you could just give me sort of a general reading based on what you might see for me in the next couple of months.
Oh, I see. Well, let me ask you a question. First of all, were you born at 5:30 in the morning or
afternoon?
Oh, in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. And when you say wanting to see something, maybe I should ask you, are you moving, or do you have a different job that you're thinking of doing?
Yeah, I'd like to think about my next chapter.
Aha. And that's because, it helps to get a little bit of ideas here, a little reference, because free will that was the word I was trying to choose earlier, is a huge element in life, and it does help. But are you, what kinds of...
So I'm not really just enjoying my everyday creative.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm just not, there's not much joy.
Always an important element in life. That's so true. Well, let me tell Suzy what you have generally, and she will understand some of that. Annie has the sun in Aquarius.
Okay.
And her rising is 28, right on Regulus, 28 Leo. And so the sun is right below the descendant, and it's conjunct Mercury in Aquarius. And the moon, where's the beautiful moon? The moon is in Gemini, another air sign. So there's two air signs.
Here, Nathan just sent me the info.
Goody.
Maybe I can
pull it up too. All right.
Yeah, let's see here. So, well, definitely with the sun in Aquarius and Mercury in Aquarius, and what's that stellium in Aquarius?
Oh, the stellium in Aquarius? Here, just hold on just a sec. Let me pull this up too. Well, I'm glad you called in, Annie, and we'll certainly see what, and we'll put the transits up to see what it is. But let's see, the stellium, well, actually, it's just the two. It's just the Sun and Mercury, yeah, and Chiron. But
let me do this. Can you give me her data, Sue, and I'll just put it in right now.
February 16, 1959. Annie, do you mind if I give this? 19. Is it okay online?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
February 16, 1959. Got it.
And it is 5:30 p.m.
5:30 p.m. Okay.
And in New Jersey, it's Teaneck. Teaneck. Teaneck.
Teaneck, New Jersey. Okay.
Well, I can say immediately, Annie, that transformation is your middle name, that I can well understand that you are feeling and wanting to renew yourself, because that is a Plutonian energy that, as we were just talking about, wanting new life.
Mm-hmm.
And that possibly right now, just in this immediate focus, you are looking at your roots and trying to figure out a new perspective of that, if that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you teach, or are you a professional teacher of some sort?
No. No, I actually, but I would love to maybe think about teaching.
Yeah.
No, I'm in a creative field, though.
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, this is fascinating because you have a Saturn return, right? Right now, Saturn, 6 degrees, you just had it conjunct your own Saturn, your natal Saturn. So it is a big time of evaluation and reviewing your life, reviewing, your own idea of your authority and what mark you want to leave, really. So, you're doing a lot of evaluation, which is, the whole point of this call, it seems like. And we, this Pluto, we're talking about Pluto and Scorpio, and man, you are a Pluto soul sister.
Yeah.
I can see
that.
Yeah, your Pluto being in the first house, right next to the ascendant, in Virgo, and so you're not afraid of looking at your life, of really honestly reviewing your soul. Really wanted to take the bull by the horns and make a big change, you in your life and in your process in this incarnation. So I think that you're no stranger to change.
And I can yes, and I can see that because it's located in the 5th house, and the transiting Pluto is very giving you a strong need to revise your creativity. And so, at this moment in the house of other, your relationships and that, I would imagine that possibly you have a lot of creative impulse that you can manifest. But do you do spiritually connected energies, or do you, with film, for instance, has film interested you?
No, it's sort of more spatial, but I'm definitely interested. Obviously, I'm interested.
What creative? Let's get down to a few facts. What is your creative energy?
So I design stuff. Like I design spaces. Like kind of interior design. Yeah.
Aha, yes. So it is the physical. And when you say that for the joy and the fun, is it the purpose that you're wanting to? Is it that you're wanting to maybe connect more on the spiritual basis? Is this an interest?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. I feel like that's always a journey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I want to see if there's a path ahead. That's just jumping out.
I mean, with Jupiter transits is, you just went over your own natal Jupiter, and it's opposing your moon and your Mars right today, actually, right? I think Jupiter is opposing your natal Mars. Um,
Ooh, and
and
Mars square
yeah,
Mars.
yeah, yep, that's true.
Big
That's
T
true.
square, which I
Yeah.
myself I can identify pretty strongly with in some ways. So there is really a lot of quest for purpose, but I think it really gets down into partly bringing in new information. New information is always useful only in the sense that it helps build a new belief structure or a perspective or a foundation that you can and it is interesting, like Susie just brought up, that you've had this, the timing is so
It's big right now.
novel. And I had for my own second return, Saturn return, which is it's a cycle, 30-year cycle we all experience around 60, and it's pivotal. It bringing in and expanding with new ideas, and it was really on the spiritual dimension that it revolutionized my own direction. In fact, I became enthralled with astrology again, because instead of it just being a cookbook situation, I realized that our soul did grow through it, and it was fascinating, and I haven't let go since. So, but you have, but I'm thinking that, there's this strong analytical direction to life, but yet there's also this, well, I'm looking at Neptune, Susie,
Okay.
transiting, and the fact that it will be going across her Venus, and that.
And then Jupiter will square it, toward the end of the year.
So there is some way of readdressing the chaos in life that might seem chaotic, that wants you to transform, or wants just routine not to be so routine, or else people in your life. But it is through other relationships, I would say, of. Go ahead, Susie. You're going to say
Well, I was
something.
going to say that I mean, because you initially talk about maybe a move. I mean, Jupiter going through your fourth house now could indicate a change of residence, some a need for exploration, and a need to move, a need to get more adventurous, and so that in that process, you really might meet somebody new. Or it could be really any kind of a relationship that really might open up a lot of your values. It might actually be a benefit for your money situation, since Venus does also rule your financial situation and your money. And I think that could be a huge next process for you in your life over the next 12 months.
Oh, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Annie, thank you. And
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think really it is a matter of just being open to what the universe comes in, and realizing that as you open up to ideas and work with those desires, and not just on the known, but maybe more on the spiritual. Like, there's so many ways that people can connect into furthering. Like, some people do automatic writing, some people meditate certain things, some people do all of it. I don't know if any of those interest you, but it might just open up new energy. Are you there?
It's going to be a great year, great time right now for you. So
Yay.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have any other question, or are we okay? Oh, you hung up? Okay. She's gone. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Susie, too. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was very wonderful, and thank you, Annie, for calling in. And an amazing and exactly opportune, thinking of Jupiter in Sag, which it is right now, obviously. She is having her return, but we're all in that spectrum for the next year. And in a sense, we're feeling just that ourselves in life, this energy of where do we go with what options and what new horizons, that really says the Mars Jupiter energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's see. We have other thoughts here about, looking on a global business. I'm noticing some other articles that I took. One of them is about home cooking. This is the title. Home cooking. I know. It says, home cooking catches on as dining gets pricier. Dining out gets pricier. And I thought, well, isn't that amazing? I grew up having to learn how to cook, which now I really enjoy Trader Joe's and all its conveniences. But when you think of this nutritional idea and us in cancer, North Node cancer, and the social business of going out, but yet having people over to the house and cooking or potlucks.
Yeah, feed yourself. Yeah, understand the food and what food you put into your body and that kind of understanding is so important. I mean, it's all about health and helping our bodies. And then that supports us on the spiritual level as well, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And interestingly, looking at that, the pricier business does reflect back to the opposition of Taurus. Here we are throwing out this astrology to people, but there is that access always. So Taurus and Scorpio are the opposites, and the financial structure of support and So
I've got an idea to talk about, Sue, if you're
yes,
game.
We are.
Is I've been looking into the correlation between the chakras and the natal chart. I was going back through old notes from Jeffrey Wolf Green and trying to make a correlation between the chakras and that Pluto with a couple other planets, but Pluto rules the root chakra. And so trying to make a correlation between Scorpio and relationships, right? It's a big relationship sign, and that there is something that's kind of on an energetic level that and is from our own electromagnetic energy that is from our chakras, right?
Yes.
And that the way that we attract people to us, which is a Plutonian phenomenon, because we attract these people that will help teach us what we need to in order to grow, right? There's something that we're kind of stagnant in that position of Pluto in our chart, and the fact that it also rules the root chakra, that help creates our electromagnetic energy, I think is a fascinating topic.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely.
I know.
Yeah, I've read some. In fact, I was thinking as you were saying, because attraction also is Venus. It is what we like.
It is.
I mean, that's where it begins to merge in some ways. But but really dislodging, which is, eliminating, eradicating, all these ideas of trying to transform, break the vessel, however we put it. You're right, with the root. So like if one looked at if that was a transformational, and then of course the heart, the fourth would be
the heart chakra.
Heart chakra. That would be possibly, could be Venus, and wouldn't it also combine with the sun?
You know what? I have spent some time looking at this with Jeffrey Wolf Green's interpretation, which if you go online, you can find just about anything. But my thinking and looking through my old notes is that the fourth chakra, which is the heart chakra, is Venus.
Okay.
It is a Venus thing, yeah. And that actually the sun, which is fascinating to me, the sun is co-ruler, which, with the third eye,
because
I know. It is pretty fascinating stuff.
Which other would be with the third eye? Would that be Uranus, or it wouldn't be Neptune? Neptune would be the seventh, wouldn't it?
Well, Uranus actually is co-ruler of the root chakra. So the root chakra is Saturn and Uranus and Pluto, which
what
is
a
pretty
combination.
I know, pretty fascinating. So, it's about that electromagnetic energy, and it's the soul, It's our foundation, seriously, in this lifetime. It's the Kundalini energies, Pluto, we know this, and the serpent, right, which is another symbolic
shedding the
animal.
skin.
Yeah,
and actually that
Scorpio.
leads us forward to 2020, when there's going to be the cycles of exactly those planets, Saturn, which is in Capricorn, and Uranus. Well, Uranus isn't in Capricorn, come to think of it. Uranus is going to be in Taurus. No, that's true.
It's Pluto and Saturn, and then the
but they might be trying it sometime. Wouldn't that be a good energy to think of as far as a supportive thing? And then, too, I was thinking back on when in the 60s when they were in Virgo together, but I'm not sure if Saturn was. But that's strong. Well, it's a fascinating to interrelate these symbolic, I don't know if they're symbolic or metaphors, but the analogies, all of it put together, it really does begin to shift how things. But to have those as the root would be a shift, because you have your foundation, and then you have the way you want to change it, and then there's sudden things that are just gonna do it.
Yeah, the illumination. I think it's, your Uranus as that root. It has to do with, I think, the possibility of breaking established structures. That the Plutonian issue is our security needs, and whether we're going to take the plunge and grow through our fear of change, and transform, and do our soul work, which is to grow beyond the previous limitations that we've experienced, and realize the whole point of this incarnation, which is soul growth.
You have said it perfectly. I like it. I love it. In fact, I need, with that said, yes, indeed. And I will announce it next week. Judy, Suzanne, Race, Sufar, another MD, will be joining, and we'll be opening up Sagittarius. We're going to be talking about Jupiter in Saturn, in Sagittarius. Too many S words. I apologize. And so that'll be quite exciting. And tonight has been Suzy Holbrook, an MD, and who also is an astrologer, who has her own website. So please check Talk Cosmos with guests, and you can easily connect with Suzy on any level that you choose for astrology. And it's just been absolutely fascinating. I love listening to you. You really bring in theory and practice. There's so many just exciting ideas.
Oh, thank you. I've loved this. Thanks so much for asking me to be here.
Oh, my honor. Okay, until again. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Talk Cosmos, the show where Sue Rose Minahan and guests unveil astrology's ancient archetypes that continually build the collective experiences in our unconsciousness. Be sure to tune in next Saturday at 6 p.m. to continue finding your roots in the stars.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.